Okay, so let's bring in our next guest. I'm very excited to have him for the first time on this show on FT Live. Jim Duquette joins us right now,
First
who can
timer.
cover everything for us. Jim,
What's
great
up,
to see you,
gentlemen?
Duke. So I want to hello. I want to start here. So I'm being sent questions left and right. Does so and so know the trade deadline is today? We can insert a lot of teams here. They're like, do the Yankees know the deadline's today?
Yeah.
The Red Sox, Orioles, getting some fan questions, Giants. So where would you like to begin on a team that hasn't set their alarm for the correct time and they haven't woke up yet?
How about the Orioles? You want to start there? Just
Yes,
because, I
please.
mean, anytime we go out there, like I go out to the ballpark. I was down there the other night in the Yankees game on Saturday night. The place was electric. I mean, it's fun. It's a fun atmosphere, right? And they're in the the downtown they're jacked up and can't wait. You know what? They want to cheer on the next great Oriole team. And you know what? Here's the problem. They they had high expectations last winter that the club set out, and they let the fan base down. So now they're like restless. Now they're like concerned that the front office and ownership isn't going to do anything. And right now it doesn't look like they're going to do anything. I guess they need to do something, like anything. I was listening to you earlier, Kratzy. Like if they get, I mean, at this point, if they got Flaherty, it's an upgrade over what they have, right? Like Wells is down at Double-A now. At least do something. And in that park too. So like I think Flaherty might have a decent 2 months there, especially with that left field being all the way back at M&T Bank, Stadium. So like, why not? I mean, Lorenzen, you know what I mean? So I think that's what they got to do something. And I think that's the team right now that of all of them, I have my biggest concern about.
Do they have the team, if they added Jack Flaherty, to win the World Series? Because we were, before all this happened, before all these trades with the Astros and the Rangers, we were saying the Orioles, they hit a little bump in the road playing the Phillies. They took two from the Yankees. They were the best team in the American League. But are they now? And if they get Jack Flaherty, are they even then?
That's a good question. I don't like it's not a big needle mover, right? Like Lorenzen would definitely help them too, but now he's off the board, right? So or Eduardo Rodriguez, I mean, I'm just looking at it from all right, they're built around their offense, which is taken a little bit of a step backwards recently. They can really defend. Their bullpen is really good, but it looks like it's getting a little tired right now because they're using it a ton. Like all of those things. So they, if they could freshen up the starting rotation a little bit, it takes a little pressure off the pen, as you guys know. Maybe they could get another relief pitcher. But I think if they got some kind of pitcher, that would certainly help them. And then when they get to the postseason, like they're going to have to mix and match and make it a really short game with their bullpen, and with adding Fujinami. Hopefully, he's going to start to pitch. He's been pitching better as of late. He got off to a rough start his first outing, but I think that, like, I don't know with that type of youth if the inexperience in the postseason will be the thing that keeps them from getting there, or they just don't think about it enough and they run the table. Like I don't think, very rarely do you see young teams go from start to finish, or let's say the halfway point all the way to the end in the World Series. The 86 Mets was one of the younger teams, but they still had some really good veterans at that time. That's the last time I can remember a really, really young team going all the way to the World Series and winning it all. So, is a Flaherty enough? Or I don't know the answer to that, right? But I would say generally, going off of what we've seen in the past, probably not. But it would give them their best run. They can't go currently, as they're currently constructed, and get to even have a chance to get to the World Series. This would at least get them a possibility. So I don't know if I answered your question, but that's my opinion.
I love that. Hey, Jim, how are you, brother?
What's up, Todd? How you doing, buddy?
Good. So I've been a big advocate of talking about the Angels and how they should have traded for Shohei Ohtani. Now, looking back with all the guys the Rangers got, and how Houston, who they picked up with Verlander and Scherzer, with the Rangers, what was your take on that? Because I thought it would have been the best thing for them, and I still don't see them making a push at the end of the day with all the people they still got.
I mean, I'm with you. Like, I would have loved to have seen it too. I would have loved to have seen it last year, right? But they're going through the ownership change. The hard part is this: like, they went through this little run that they went on, and they were, they were winning. I feel like it was kind of giving them a false impression of how good the team really is by comparison to the other teams in the division, right? So I think that it's hard to go to your fan base at that point in your 4 games out or 3.5 out and say, oh, we're selling. Like here's I mean, their reasoning has there's some rationale, thought process to keeping Otani, because they feel like if they could at least show them they made a run and they at least tried to get to to postseason or beyond, let's say they were to surprise people and get into the postseason, then they have a better chance of keeping them. I'm not so sure they do. I don't believe that, but they do. And so I know, been in that spot before where you can talk yourself into that. What you really need is to be able to look yourself in the mirror, like every day you go, man, are we really a postseason team or World Series team? And they don't match up, right? It doesn't pass the sniff test in my mind. So I understand, like, I think they should have done it too. Just being in that spot, it's hard when your owner's telling you can't trade them. So I think in the end, Perry Manassian, his hands were tied in that spot. Like, I think he really wanted to trade him because he knew it's the right thing, but he wasn't allowed to.
Logistically, who are you more desiring a job to work for? The New York Mets right now or the Boston Red Sox?
Oh, boy. Well, I mean, I grew up in Boston or outside of Boston, so I wouldn't mind doing that. But with the Mets, so here's the thing with the Mets. It's such a change overall with their path, right? Like, they went all in, and now they're all out. But I think they're going to jump back in to the waters, maybe not to this degree this winter. And when you have that type of firepower, financial firepower, you can make some really big differences with building a team. So you have an owner that you can dispute or disagree with the way they've kind of gone about this, and there'll be plenty of people that do it, but you don't get many opportunities to break down your team, gather like these quality prospects, and then go do it again next year. Like, that's very rare that any team does that. Usually you have to go through 2 or 3 cycles of rebuilding or tear down. They're not going to do that. Like, they're going to be back at it again next year. So, like, if I had an ideal owner, that's probably it. With the Red Sox in that town, and how much I love the Red Sox, and being from New England and all of that, I don't think their owners are all in. I think they try to run it like a business, and that to me, that doesn't work up there in Boston, as you guys have seen. Like, you better be all in, and sometimes you have to be a guy who spends recklessly. And they aren't doing that these days. It started before letting Mookie go, but Mookie was the latest example, in Bogarts and all these guys that they've kind of let go.
Are they totally cutting their fan base off when they don't do anything in the next 1 hour and 47 minutes? Because in the beginning of the offseason, or the end of the offseason, when they had their Red Sox, whatever it was, the gala, ownership got booed when they came up.
I know. They got booed at the gala. They remember that they had the I think right around that time they had the hockey winter classic at Fenway.
Fenway, yes.
They were booing the crap out of him. You, as the owner, you can deny all you want, but they were booing John Henry right before they signed Devers, I think it was, right? So,
yep.
And if I'm Chaim Bloom, like, you went from 2 years ago being able to get any restaurant reservation you wanted in the city, to now hiding your head and pulling a hat down over your face, hoping that no one recognizes you when you're out getting a cup of coffee. Like, it's that bad, and it's not his fault. It's really not. Like, he is taking the hits, and that team. Nobody thought they were that good. I didn't think they were that good. But what he's done, and really what Alex has done, Alex Cora, like, that guy's so freaking smart. Like, they've done a heck of a job keeping that team where it is, or playing above the expectation. So I hope, for their sake, at least for Heim's sake, that he's allowed to go and do something, because otherwise, that fan base, that's another one. They'll let you know, and they don't show up. Like they don't buy tickets. Like an empty Fenway Park is, I mean, it's a tiny place, as you guys know. When it's empty, like it looks like there's nobody there. Those red seats, it's glaring when they're empty.
Do you think that the Reds should be doing anything? We had C. Trent Rosecrans
Yes.
on earlier, and he was like, meh, you know, they've got a lot already with their ball club. They don't want to trade away prospects. I wasn't sensing like a ton of urgency, but yeah, I don't need them to go get the world. But I think any
Right.
team that's competing, Jim, and you know this, when you're talking to your ball club, whether it's a veteran team or a young team like the Reds, you got to show them a sign. You got to do something.
Otherwise, yeah, you don't have. I think you lose a lot of credibility in the clubhouse. They're battling their ass off every single day, and now you're going to go down there and tell them that, oh, I couldn't do anything for them. Like, remember, I don't know if either. Well, you guys, I don't think we're in Houston, but when, well, the time that they traded for Verlander in September, which we don't have that ability to do anymore. But Keuchel at the deadline, when they were on Zach Britton, and my cousin was trying to do a deal with them. And by the way, he could have gotten Framber Valdez in that deal. A young like Framber Valdez was in the minor leagues at the time, but the owner wouldn't let him do it. So Luno at the time, he didn't have another option to go to. Went right up to the deadline, didn't get anything. And Keuchel and a couple other the veteran players were like, "You got to be kidding me! We didn't get anybody." Like, they were pissed, and they should have been, right? So then they kind of had a do over, and Jim Crane claimed Verlander, and they traded for Verlander in September, right before the September deadline. So I think that when you kind of go and look at all that, like for me, that's where Cincinnati, they've battled to this far. They've had a really good run. They've acknowledged their fan base has embraced them now. Todd, that town, when you're good, man,
No doubt.
they love you, right? So I don't, even something small that would give them, so how about some bullpen help, right? There's not a lot left, but you could go get a piece or two there, or
Yep.
a veteran starter, something, and let your young kids play. Like they kind of embrace that, right? So I don't know. They're kind of like Baltimore, like Baltimore was last year, right? Baltimore just said, "Well, we're not good enough." Like, I hope that's not what happens with Cincinnati, that they fade because of this.
Okay, so lastly, you woke up today and all of a sudden you're GM of the New York Yankees. You're Brian Cashman. What are you doing today? What do you think about the team that you constructed? And there's just been a lot of weirdness. I mean, Kratzy played for them. We were trying to decipher armpit gate and how that played out, because it was not good optics heading into the trade deadline. They're certainly not showing their front office that they should be doing much. And this is not a championship caliber ball club in the mind of most of us right now. So are you buying? Are you selling? Or are you maybe just saying, you know what? You're going to live with this shit the rest of the season. This is what it is. You guys have not played well enough for me to do anything, and I don't have that many pieces to sell.
I think that the latter. I think he woke up this morning and said, "This is a shitty team," or maybe not quite that bad, and just said, I mean, really, when you look at it, they know what we're seeing, right? Cash in his front office knows, and really, they with Judge and Cortez, like, you might as well just see what you have with those guys when they come back. Judge hopefully will play every day, even if it's at the more at the DH for the time being, and Cortez comes back, and just see if what you've got is good enough to get you through the wild card, into the wild card, because it's just not a good team. They banked on a couple guys that haven't produced, and they've had the injuries, and everyone's had the injuries. But like you said, like, do you want to really trade any of your limited farm system pieces for a rental at this point? Like, I don't know. What's the point? Like, it's not going to change. You're just not that good. Like, the offense is, I don't know what you guys think. Where'd the offense go? Like, you got some guys that are really struggling there that kind of surprised me, right? Without Judge, man, they're just
all at the same time.
Awful. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
they haven't
all
seemed
the
to figure
dudes
it out.
all the veterans that they paid for. Yeah, they all hit their decline at the same time here, or down year. Like, I think Rizzo still
Could be down.
has some baseball left in him. LeMahieu getting up there, has had the injuries. Right, he had the toe that was real bad for him last year. There's
but
a
I
few
still
of those
believe in
dudes.
him.
Obviously, Donaldson turned out to be a disaster
Yeah.
move for them. So the offense isn't good, Duke. And here's the thing: I've been answering Yankee fan questions for a while now. Who do you want? This is one of the worst trade deadlines I've seen in a while in terms of offense. It's pretty strong for pitching. It's brutal for offense. Like, who's the best player that ends up getting traded over the past week? Candelario?
It might be Candelario. Yeah, I mean, that's, he's had a good year and all, but I mean, he was on a 1-year contract this year, right? And the only team that was willing to give him an everyday spot with the Nationals. So yeah, I think you're right. I feel like as soon as Bellinger came off the market, that basically, I don't know if the Yankees were in on him or not, but that was their best chance to upgrade significantly enough to make that offense look better than it is. So now they're all in on Judge and hope that Stanton, figures it out, and maybe Rizzo has this first month and a half he was on fire. Like he carried him while Judge was out that first time. So maybe by the way, Riz is up on the plate so much. Maybe he needs to back off a little bit now. I don't know. It's hard. You guys would know better than me, but there's got to be something that's to some kind of adjustment, because it seems like they're just pounding the crap out of him, man.
Yep, I'm with you, Duke. Hey, enjoy the ride here for the next couple hours. Let's see what happens. Hello, Baltimore.
Let's go. I got to walk around town. Let's go, O's, for crying out loud.
Are you there right now? Are you in Baltimore?
No, I'm in New York. I'll be back down there. I'll be back down there tomorrow, though.
Well, good to see your face, Duke. Appreciate hanging with it for a few minutes. All right, enjoy.
All right. Have a good one, guys. See you. Thanks for having me.
Cheers. You too. It's Jim Duquette.